Video is for anyone who believes that they have missed their opportunity to invest in Bitcoin, because as I'm about to demonstrate in this video, this tiny $200 billion asset class has the potential to be worth not only $1 million per coin, but also that $1 million price tag is merely a stepping stone on Bitcoin's journey in becoming the global reserve currency asset for the world. Don't take my word for it though. We're going to run the numbers on a number of different scenarios for Bitcoin, not only being the global reserve currency, but also just being a pristine collateral asset for the world. Because I believe that this invention of a form of money that has absolute scarcity is a once in a 6,000 year invention, bigger than the invention of the internet itself, okay? Blockchain technology is going to change the world, and you're about to find out why.
How's that for a graphic? Bitcoin's boom time continues, back above 10,000. Get this. If you're not paying attention, you probably should be. Bitcoin is now up 44% this year.
I believe that in a world where central bankers are tripping over themselves to devalue their currency, Bitcoin wins. In the world of fiat currencies, Bitcoin is the victor.
So Bitcoin at its core is just a technology, guys. And all technologies, they follow what we call is an S-curve, as they're slowly adopted through their market share or their target audience. So for example, this is a chart of many of the technologies that we've adopted through the 21st century. So you've got things such as your microwave, your cell phone, or your internet. Now these lines are a little bit squiggly and they don't really help me make my point very clearly. So we're going to have a look at this chart here. But as you can see, all technologies follow what we call is an S-curve through their adoption. Now, when a new technology pops up between what we're looking at is maybe 0.1 or 0.2, this new technology is very foreign and everybody's looking at it like, what is this thing? Like the internet back in the day. Who was using the internet back in the 1990s? Like this would be, for example, it would be, if you're comparing Bitcoin to the internet in the 1990s, we would be at 0.2 here. We would be in the early adopters phase, and it's still very new and foreign to the masses. And just to prove and show how early we really are in Bitcoin's journey, we'll have a look at what its total addressable market is. So Bitcoin's essentially a digital money, and it could potentially be a digital financial system for the entire world. So right now, we currently have about 65 million Bitcoin users around the world. So as that great Bitcoin saying goes, don't trust, verify. Let's run the numbers. So you've got 65 million people, and you divide that by 7 billion. So we go one lot of 3, 2 lots of 3. That's what 7 billion looks like. So at the moment, Bitcoin's total addressable market, we haven't even reached 0.00. We haven't even reached 1% of Bitcoin's total capturable market. Now, as a technology, it grows through adoption. So let's have a look what is happening with Bitcoin's adoption. So as all these local currencies around the world are failing, whether it's the Argentinian peso, as you can see here, or whether it is the Brazilian real or the Chile peso, as their local currencies are failing, these are charts of Bitcoin adoption in each respective country. And as you can see, as their money fails, there are growing Bitcoin adoption by the people looking for a store of value and a form of money that can't be debased or inflated by dictator leaders. So we have a look around the world. Currently, more than 1/3 of the world's population lives in nations without freedoms that have very strict capital controls put onto the people living in those countries. So that means they can't have access to get their hands on gold because their family could try to send them a safe form of money such as gold across the border, but the corrupt politicians or the corrupt dictators simply seize it. So this is where Bitcoin is being adopted by these local countries around the world living in unfortunate situations that we don't see over here in the Western world. And all they need is simply a smartphone, and they can access a form of money that can't be inflated, can't be debased, and can't be corrupted by their local governments. Now that is the revolution of Bitcoin, because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins ever created, and it is very simple: supply and demand economics. If the adoption rate for Bitcoin continues, then that means the price simply has to rise, because there is only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins. So let's have a look at our first scenario here for Bitcoin, or our first little price target on the way to what I believe could potentially be the global reserve currency for all in the future. So we are currently a $190 billion asset class with, and that gives us about a 10,000 US dollar per Bitcoin price. So I think the next major milestone for the Bitcoin price will be the big $1 trillion market cap. So, you know the saying, don't trust, verify, let's run the numbers. You get $1 trillion and you divide that by the 21 million Bitcoins. That gives you an estimate, a price of about $47,000 per coin. I'll lift the lid on that little secret for you guys. $47,000 per coin. Now, let's move on to our next price target. Now, for regular viewers on the channel, you guys would know that gold has been the best form of money for the previous 6,000 years, because it has a relatively low inflation rate, meaning that we only find an extra 1 to 2% of gold every year that is added to the existing stockpile, and hence it has been the best store of value until then. But anyone who has a fundamental understanding of what money is from a first principles basis understands that Bitcoin is a superior form of money than gold in every single property that makes a good money, okay? Bitcoin is more portable, it's more divisible, it's more immutable. Every single property. Now, I could make a whole separate video showing how Bitcoin is a better form of money than gold, but we're just going to listen to a very quick sentence from Michael Saylor, who is the newest Bitcoin billionaire to dip his toe into the into the Bitcoin rabbit hole.
Yeah. The summary of my entire meandering analysis is Bitcoin, if it's not 100 times better than gold, it's 1,000,000 times better than gold, and there's nothing close to it.
Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I love gold. It's actually one of my largest positions alongside Bitcoin. But you simply can't compare the two, okay? Gold's been a great store of value for the previous 6,000 years, and it is clearly a superior store of value than the current fiat currencies that are being printed into oblivion this year as we go through this global financial reset. But the invention of Bitcoin through blockchain technology is truly revolutionary. We've never had a form of money that has absolute scarcity. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins ever created, and Michael Saylor is starting to realize that, okay? Now, if you divide, let's run the numbers quickly before we move on to our third price target. You take $10 trillion, you divide that by 21 million Bitcoins ever created, it gives you 476,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. Now, the reason I chose that little clip from Michael Saylor was because he became the first publicly listed company to come out and say, hey, look, as the CEO of this company, we're going to take our $426 million balance sheet, take those dollars and put it into a superior form of money such as Bitcoin, okay? And the dominoes are falling, guys, as we speak. I'm filming here today, and the CEO of Twitter and Square, Jack Dorsey, has put $50 million of Square's balance sheet into Bitcoin, saying that it's just simply math that Bitcoin becomes the global reserve currency for all. And right now, you've got 41,000 listed companies around the world watching the actions of Michael Saylor and Jack Dorsey, with over $80 trillion of money sitting on their balance sheet. And in part 2 of this video series, we're going to run the numbers to see what all this money flooding into Bitcoin will do to the price. Now, if you've enjoyed part 1, hit the like and subscribe buttons and stay tuned for part 2. See you guys.